Let's go.
And we are live.
SoundMinds.
SoundMinds.
Yo,
SoundMinds unmuted.
where would you be but in front of your camera, in front of your YouTube, in front of your Facebook, right on the Facebook SoundMinds Hip Hop Facebook page, but to see the greatness that we have for you this Sunday evening. You know what I'm saying? Fresh off of one of the craziest shows we had with the SoundMinds reunion last episode, we have a pillar of hip hop. And if you are not familiar, then honestly speaking, then don't ever consider yourself a hip hop head. I personally am ecstatic to even be in the stature of this brother right here, just based off of the fact of I was waking up to one of his produced tracks every single morning when I was in school. You know what I mean? This was my alarm clock. So without further ado, man, because we're going to get into so many conversations and I don't want to hold up with introductions, but trust me when I tell you this person right here deserves a good 2-hour introduction just because of the greatness that he's a part of and the greatness that he put out and the contributions that he put out for our culture of hip hop. We have A plus of the Mighty Souls of Mischief camp, the Hieroglyphics family. This right here is greatness. So when you see greatness, as we spoke about in prior episodes, you salute kings, man. So salute to you, brother, and thank you for being on here in SoundMinds podcast.
Man, thank you for having me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the dope intro. Much love to it. It's good to be here.
So, yo, what we normally do is have you. This is a completely different from a lot of podcasts, and I know that sounds like a cliche to say, but that's what everybody tells us, even after we say it. We, instead of having like a whatever kind of gimmicky intro, we always have you, because sometimes people go through a whole hour, 2-hour interview and never say the thing they wanted to say because the podcast has never asked them. So first and foremost, what is it that what's on your mind? What's on your heart? What is it that what you want to say about yourself right now before we get into putting you on the spot? You know what I'm saying?
Man, just want to say peace to everybody out there. A plus Hieroglyphic Souls of Mischief. Been working hard this year. I put out 3 albums with A plus and the Architect. It's me and my brother the Architect on the beats. 3 albums. One is Free Dope. The second one is Chamber Games. The third one is Black Switzerland. Go check them out. And we got another one coming for the year's over, man. So check out for A plus and the Architect. Other than that, I hope everybody's well during these rough times, man. And hold your head, keep it strong, you know.
All right, so quick question about that real quick. Why do you have 2 videos on with the joint on Architect? You got 2 videos. Now, I want you to answer that question. I don't want to say anything about
what
part 1 and part 2.
All right, so the reason that happened is okay, our boy was supposed to film a video for us, right? And I was out of town. I can't remember where I was. I was coming into town. I think I was in San Jose. And I had to come to San Francisco and meet everybody way off deep in San Francisco to film the video. Then I got like a text, a weird cryptic text from the director. He was like, "Man, I'm at the Enterprise. I'll tell you about it later. We're gonna change the video up." And I was like, "Okay, whatever, man." So when I got there, we were getting ready to, we were setting up for the regular video, and he had told me that he was walking around the corner from his house, and he was with Pep Love, my brother from Hieroglyphics. They were walking around the corner from his house, deep off in the Sunset District in Frisco, and somebody was like, "Yo, Hieroglyphics," because Pep had a Hyro shirt on, and one of them had a Hyro shirt on, and they started hollering back at him like, "Yeah, whatever, man, what's up?" And the dude said, "Yeah, man, I know your boy A plus. I met him up in the mountains in Grass Valley because I go to the mountains around here a lot, and I kind of like it's like a second home up there for me. So the people up there in the mountains know me, even though it's way off in the cut." They're like, "Word, we filmed a video for A plus today." And they was like, "Word, check it out. Why don't y'all come in here?" And then so this house that they went into, it had a Batmobile in the driveway or in the garage, right? They bust a couple like lefts or rights inside the house, and they walk into this room, and it's the Enterprise, bro. It's the Enterprise from Star Trek. The room looks just like the Enterprise, like, and it's crazy as fuck. So they said, "Yeah, I had this." Basically, he pulled an audible on the video. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to film a video there, man. We just have to. And I was like, well, that's cool, but can we still film the one that we were supposed to have with just some regular shit? Because at that point, I hadn't been there yet. I didn't see the Enterprise yet. I came all the way from wherever to come and film this video, and I still kind of had it on my mind that I wanted the video that I wanted. And so after the whole night, we filmed the video. He's like, man, now come down here. We went down to the house. Sure enough, it's a Batmobile, bro. It's a bunch of other shit too, but like, you know, it was just a very unique household. And there's a bunch of people in there. The dude who lived there, they called him the captain. Motherfucker had on like a captain shirt. He was in the video, the older white dude that was in the Star Trek.
That dude lived in the. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan.
I tell you no
So
lie.
I was reading the credits. It said the captain as his self.
Yes.
So that means he literally lit. That wasn't a set. Like he lives in that house and calls himself.
He lives in that house and calls himself the captain. He had a whole room that was the cockpit of the Enterprise. He had a Batmobile, my dude, and he had other shit too. But I mean, he's just like, I don't know. He must have been like a collector, a very eccentric dude. But he had a bunch of people that was there partying and shit. And even there's a party going on outside in this house while we were in the Enterprise filming. This house was popping, but
that's rich.
Yeah,
that's rich life right there.
Yeah, it was. He certainly seemed like a retired dude, man. Like it just enjoying his earnings, bro.
Enjoying life.
Yeah.
Man. Oh man.
So yeah, that's how we ended up with 2 videos, and the second one just like I was like the first one got done mad quick because the director was really into editing the Star Trek one. So I was like, just make the other one real quick. I'll put that one out whenever you're done with the other one. Just give it to me, you know, no pressure. And so that's how we ended up with two of that one video.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. I know it's kind of a random thing, but like it actually came off like that. Like it came off like I feel like they did this video and then somehow they had the opportunity to go where no man has gone before.
Yeah.
And they was like, nah, we got to do this too.
Yeah.
That even more than I thought. You heard, Rob?
I swear, I felt the same exact way. I swear, I'm not even going to stunt. When I watched both of them, I said, oh, I know what happened here. Because I even clicked on, I watched part 2 first, and then I watched part 1, and I was thinking part 1 was going to give me, like, something different, and when it was the same thing, I said, oh, I know what happened there. I mean, when you were sitting in that chair, I said, where do you find a set like that?
Bruh. Oh my goodness. hey, man, you called it, bro. And I'm gonna tell you, if you've seen them both, like the first one was cool. By the time like we got to the second one, it was like hours later, it was a little bit litty, and that environment was just manny as fuck. I was like, wow, bro. Like, we literally stumbled on that. Like, when you look at my face in that room, that's what I was feeling. I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah. No, you took it all in. I'm not even gonna stunt. You was you was in a movie. That you turned into a movie right then and there. Like,
you know what's crazy, man? That is the epitome, man. Something like that is the detailed epitome of what the industry does. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you already have an idea of what you're doing, you know, like, yo, we're going to go with this, and then something else flip, and you like, oh, wait a minute. All right, cool, let's do that too. You know what I mean? But it's just so out of the ordinary of what your fabric is that it's just like, all right, cool, let's just do it. But everybody know, you know what I'm saying? So dope is the fact
I want to back up real quick, though, because we asked him, you know, what he wanted to get off his chest, and first thing he did, you know, is let us know that he got new music, and then Self-Suffice dive right into the new music, and we just got that great story. But I really want the people that's listening to understand who we got and who we talking to right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, I gotta give this dude all praises due for even dropping music still today when this is a pioneer of hip hop we talking about. Like we talking about 93 Til. You know, these are classics where I had the pleasure to watching the documentary of the Souls of Mischief documentary and just seeing all of the celebrities that I grew up to know, because I'm younger than you brothers, you feel me? So I grew up knowing these celebrities, but they talking about y'all, how much they respect you and respect the Souls of Mischief, like calling y'all legends. So Like we just gotta definitely give that shout out, but then keep it pushing
Thank,
to this new music. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause he is
thank.
still dropping new music right now. So yes, I just gotta give that shout out.
I appreciate that, man. It's like, you know, like a lot has happened since, you know, we've been in the game a long time. You know, just coming out in 1993, we got that record deal. We were still in high school at the time. You know, our album ended up coming out like, you know, right after we got out of high school. But like, you know, it's that's how it really started, and it's been a run. Like for me, making music is just automatic. Making whether it's making beats, whether it's rapping, whatever, making music. That's just what I do. That's what I love doing. And you know, the landscape of hip hop and stuff has certainly changed over almost 30 years, bro. Like since my first shit dropped. That's a trip. So it's been like 18 years or some shit, or something crazy like that, or like 28 years or something like that. So with me, like, I'm gonna be making music regardless. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and it's still profitable. But even if it wasn't, I'd still be the dude making music because I love doing it. It's therapeutic for me. It's something I've done my whole life. Yeah, I mean, I was raised.
I mean, you kind of you just alley-ooped me just now, you know, speaking that you do have industry experience, you know, and now you're an independent right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So being that you have the industry experience and then the independent experience, you know what I mean? Like, do you still desire for the industry recognition to add to your music success? You know what I mean? Based off your wisdom, off of, you know, you having that experience and now having the independent experience.
Well, I mean, for me, man, that's I got to answer that carefully. With me, it's like when you like kind of like a legacy act. I don't, you know, that term is, you know, it applies. I don't really know a better way to say it. It's like trying to get industry recognition on the terms of and standards of the present era. It's not really a good move for a legacy act. Like, you know, like you can only, well, some people have been able to totally reinvent themselves and do the shit, and they're few and far in between. And often, like, they're not doing the same thing they were doing before. And if they can pull it off successfully, well, bless them. You know what I'm saying? But that again, that's few and far in between. Artists, legacy artists that are able to do that, if they even still around right now, like making music at all. You know. So with me, I can't really say that I'd be looking for the mainstream recognition. Now, some I just happen to be doing on what I'm doing just happen to pop in some kind of way and turn into some kind of cult classic, got in a movie, somebody liked it and blew up somehow. Well, that would be awesome. But it would be organic because it would be done doing the kind of music that I was just doing anyway, and not really trying to be this whole, you know, 40-year-old motherfucker trying to be like my son. My son is 19. You know what I'm saying? And his people do what they do, and they dope or whatever. But like, if I'm out there at the dorm like this with them, I look like the old dude at the club. It's just weirdo shit. So with me, like I would never say, nah, fuck that. I don't never want to blow. I don't never want to have a song be successful. I'm just gonna keep it underground. I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be that. I wouldn't be that one. I'd be the dude that's like just doing what I'm doing, and if something pop, well, that's just the will of the universe. And so that's my way of answering the question. It's not like I would say no if something I was actually doing organically popped, but as far as stretching what I'm doing to cater to what's going on now, that would just tarnish, to me, in my own eyes, it would tarnish what I've been doing, and I would look kind of crazy. And I can imagine like a lot of the people that fuck with me would probably think the same.
You know what's crazy about that is you kind of touched upon it a little bit, man. There definitely have been some legacy artists like legends who have been picked up by major labels, and you see what doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's sad to see it. There's a lot of times, man, we could go down the list, and I ain't even gonna mention names, but you see,
I'm not.
Right, you know what I mean? So
I might know some of these cats, you know.
Right. You know what I mean? So I ain't trying to put you in that box, but I just feel like there's, you know, one of my favorite MCs, man. When I seen, like, you know, people were like, yo, he's signing to this record label. I was like, yo, that's crazy. Let's see what happens. And then nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like you would hope to think that record labels, when you're signing legends, that you know how to put them out with them being them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why you would sign them.
And
Yeah.
you also piggyback off of something that you've said in one of your verses that I listened to on your YouTube channel, where you said that I wasn't forced to drop an album this year. You know, like you was talking
Yeah.
about how you wasn't forced to drop an album this year because you can do music as you please.
Yeah.
You know,
That's exactly what I was getting at in that line too. Is that like, and that's from Pepper Spray. That was done a few years ago. That project is a project where I just used Red Hot Chili Pepper samples and made songs out of them, and it's like, and I gave it out for free because I didn't want no static or nothing. I was more like an homage. But anyway, yeah, I was literally talking about that, like, being independent, you don't have like the same time constraints and budget constraints and all the different kind of constraints that you would have. I'm not saying this for better or less. It's just a different situation, right? But you don't have the same kind of controlling factors involved in making and putting your music out when you're independent. And that's all I was attesting to. And I was just kind of saying in a boastful way, I ain't forced to put no album out this year. I make my music like how it come out natural. Like, and that's kind of how I make my music, really. It's just that, like, I gotta be vibing. I have to feel it. And if not, then well, being independent gives us that luxury, you know. I
gotta ask a couple questions about the music, but right now I just want to follow up on something that you said. Like you already, like, you are a real universal being. You know, that's the best way I could say it. Like, anybody who checks your Instagram posts will understand, like, you really put love and light out in the universe, you know, and you really represent that. Some of the best parts of our culture through the diaspora is like, hip hop could sample every culture. Hip hop, our goal was to meet people and experiences beyond the block, beyond the apartment complex, wherever you was at. And somehow that's just something that's in our DNA from our ancestors, and you represent that like none other. So let me say that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Nah, it's deserved, you know, and a lot of people might not know about that. They might try to say, okay, he's a rapper, he's a producer. Like, you are a being. And I want to say this question before we get into the music. Like you said, you're not gonna chase certain things. You'll see what the universe does. You ended up on the Starship Enterprise on the way to do a video. Is there an art or a belief system to that? Because I feel like you've probably seen, and we're also getting mentoring. Like, I'm gonna just be real. Like, I'm as much of a fan of you as I'm a podcaster and a mentee of you. I consider myself a student of you as well. Have you come and gone and seen people where, like, an opportunity might have been there in the universe, but because they had a preconceived idea, they missed out? And is there any advice on that? Like, just being in that flow where you might end up in the enterprise, or you might end up doing a collab with someone you otherwise wouldn't think about. Like,
definitely, I've seen that numerous times, and I've actually done that myself. To be quite fair, like, just thinking a certain way and miss something coming your way. But that said, what I always try to do, we all, I mean, it's a lifelong mission, you know, something like I just got to strive to do every day, you know, just to not miss when the universe is trying to tell you stuff. And also, just as important, or sometimes even more importantly, watch what I'm using my mind to put into the universe, because it's really just trying to help, and it's gonna do whatever the fuck you ask. You know what I'm saying? It's really just here to help. If you feeding and fuck shit's gonna happen to you. If you're feeding the good stuff, then you'll get those same energies in return. Now, that's not to say that there's not natural adversity in life and that there's one way to make it just smooth sailing, because that's simply not the case. We're here to scrub and get up and learn from that shit to try to scrub less. You know what I'm saying? So, but you can help out. One can help out that mission more, all on their own, just by what they ingest, what they put out. And I firmly believe all of that. And I just try to get better at that in my life, because, you know, it's a growth process. I make mistakes all the time. And I really try not to make mistakes. So a lot of times I make big mistakes. You know what I'm saying? May not make as many, but when they happen, they happen. And it's for the lessons. It's to provide the lessons that one needs on their own personal journey. So when, like, I try to keep myself open to stuff. I've always been that dude, like, and just throughout the travels and tour. I'm just known as a super outgoing person, and not even on no super jolly shit. I'm just on some cool in my skin shit, and the opportunity to meet more people through the blessing of being in the music business. It was something I took very seriously. I was like, I know I wouldn't be going these places this way. I wouldn't be meeting people who automatically have some layers of boundaries down because they meet me through this musical medium. So they're going to be generally cooler than they normally would be just because of the music. And I always try to take advantage of those situations in a positive way. So that's why I'm always out in the crowd, man. I'm not chilling in the green room, man, long. I'm out there with fans having drinks, man. I go to the after parties and, I keep in touch with people. I've been doing that shit for decades, man. And it's because of that mentality of being like, trying to be open to the situation and all the blessings that it could bring and all the lessons that it could bring, especially in this unorthodox situation I find myself in. Got a record deal in fucking high school, and all of a sudden, like, I'm famous and I'm 18 and shit. And I'm a son of immigrants. You know what I'm saying? This shit is like, U.S. was already kind of weird to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just because of my household had like a different get down. But so yeah, I just always thankful for the moment, man, and just know that this is one thing I always say, man. It's like two things that could really keep a person grounded in a weird ass industry, or maybe in life, but like certainly as it pertains to the music industry. It's like, one, I always remember that it could have never happened, so I need to be thankful for that. And two, I got to remember that that shit could end tomorrow, so I need to make the most of it and treat it right while I have it. And that's just those are tenets that I just live by, and that's just embedded in me. You know what I'm saying? So when weird ass shit happens, like I end up like on the Enterprise and shit, like, I'm like, I'm with it, man. Life is a ride, man. I'm a ride with it. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what, man? With that being said, man, I gotta, as they say, man, it's a term everybody want to use now. Give flowers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to give you flowers right now, brother, because truth of the matter is that it's funny how things work out, man. The documentary, we didn't know it was going to come out this year. You know what I'm saying? So your name was kind of brought up in the sense of, yo, how about if we bring on A+? Our brother Kaheem was like, yo, let's try to, so that happened way before the documentary came out. And then here it is, the 20 years come out. So first and foremost, man, shout out to Shamari Smith for that, man, because I think, honestly speaking, it was so dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get that history. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, man, he did an incredible job. He's just like, I mean, it was a trip. Like, from my perspective, and sometimes I know shit, sometimes I don't. But I see we known Shamari for a long time. Like, we from the same area. Like, we know him from elementary school. You know what I'm saying? So we've just we just know him. You know what I'm saying? He's always been mad cool. So at some point, he's an artist as well, and he, obviously, filmmaker as well. And so I remember that, like, whenever I'd see him at these shows, at like these festivals or wherever, he was always filming. I was like that's dope, man. That's, shoot shit, right? And then at some point I was like, bro, you always filming, man. What's going down? He's like, oh, bro, you don't know? I'm filming a doc, bro. I'm filming a doc on y'all. I was like, what? Like, and that was like some years ago. And then just to watch how much watch it come to fruition. He took it on the what do you call it? The film festival circuit.
Film festivals, yep.
Yeah. We participated in. I think we might have even won one, and like, that's all testament to his hard work. Him and his whole crew. And yeah, man, when I watch it, man, like, it's emotional for me. Like, it really is. When I watch it, it's crazy just to see it all, compartmentalized, and even with the extra footage and the bonus stuff, it's just like, it's just a trip, man. I'm real humbled about that, and hats off to Shamari. He did an excellent job. Not on top of that, he's an excellent brother. He's just like one of the super people on earth, man. Just him and his whole family, man. Straight up.
And that's the beauty of seeing that, right? So like you just said right now, man, the fact, and I want to salute all of y'all, man, because truth of the matter is, Hieroglyphics, the family, has been rocking so long, right? And I love the fact that y'all so tight. You know what I'm saying? Souls of Mischief, Hieroglyphics, Casual, Pep, like all of y'all so tight. And there's never been any type of like feelings of, and granted, crews and families always going to have a little static amongst themselves. Yeah. But y'all always kept that in where it's just kind of like, yo, that's a family. Ain't never been no type of craziness. You know what I mean? Now, granted, doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hit the head on the nail. I mean,
Right.
it's definitely been beef and disagreements and all kinds of shit as any family would have, because like the thing about hieroglyphics is like we like friends that ended up doing music together. You know what I'm saying? We didn't like doing music and then our friendship built from there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just pointing out the distinction between the two because ours was different. So like we beef like a family, but like hieroglyphics is bigger than any one of us, really. You know what I'm saying? So that's why in the
We
end,
feel you 1,000,000,000,000% light year percent, bro. Like I'll be fighting with Light all the time. Like, yo, Light, you a master lyricist. We gotta put music out, and he'd be like, we gotta feed the children. You know what I mean? Because we know each other before the music.
yeah, it's a difference. And again, I don't say better or lesser. It's just a different dynamic. You know, it has different rules and different mores to it, and different reactions to situations. And so like when it comes to shit like that, hieroglyphics is the musical family, and business group is separate things, but they're under the same umbrella, but they're separate things. And I think that's why, you know, like throughout any kind of ups and downs as any family would have, we've always been able to lean on both of those things and keep it together. You know what I'm saying? And you know, at this point, it's like we've been through so much. I mean, seriously, our first album came out in 93. Dale's first album came out in 91. We was right there with him. You know what I'm saying? His single Burnt, he put us on the B side of that shit. That's how people could even hear our voices, was on the B side of his shit. So like from 91 to at this point, motherfuckers have known each other longer than we haven't by many years. So, you know,
and especially back in those days when you were so young, you know what I mean, you spent ample amount of time. Like you be around, we be around each other,
yeah,
you know,
because you had that time as a youth, man. But people start having kids and bills and shit.
Yeah.
You know, that prioritizing the kick it time really starts to become a thing.
That's when life hits you in the face and you like, yo, hold on, B.
Yeah.
Then you start looking at people differently, like, yo, fam, I don't even know you like that. We ain't even got to talk. But the difference with families like me and Kaheem, we damn near knew each other since damn near diapers. You know what I mean? So and just the beauty of that, man, where you see, like, even with Shamari, for you to tell us that y'all knew him since elementary is so dope. Because even though he's doing his own thing in his own lane, and come to find out, yo, nah, I'm not doing nothing but filming my family. You know what I mean? I'm filming my family do what they do. And the fact that I'm proud of you, let me put this documentary out about y'all. You know what I'm saying? And just to get all the innuendos and all the intricacies and certain things, like, come on, man, the tracks on there that you produce.
Shout out to Coach in the chat, man. Just off of what Light Skin is even saying. Like, look at what Coach said. He said, I appreciate the fact that NBA 2K18 featured 93 Till Infinity. That allowed him, you know what I mean, my sons and I to connect on music in the way that we sometimes aren't able regarding music. So just off of that.
Man, that's awesome. That's shout out, Coach, man. I see those are like the intangibles that you don't really know that you're gonna be able to be a part of when you don't have like the forethought as a young kid to be like 20 years later, this would even be a thing, like to where with someone like Coach would say something like that from a song from back then. I mean, you know, it's like it's those intangibles that kick in later that you got to be around long enough to affect. I mean, that shit dope, man.
Yo, I'm not to ask you this question, but I can feel it getting dangerously close. We're gonna start asking these questions about it.
So wait,
93 Till Infinity. You put the words in the universe, 93 Till Infinity, and this is the type of things that happen.
Okay, so wait, before we get to the 93 Till, before we get to the music even more, I mean, we're really on a lot of wisdom that you kicking right now, right? From your experience and everything, right? And I wanna tap in even deeper with that. And because even since 93 or 91, when I was only 5-6 years old at this time. So I don't know. I'm learning now. But every time I do my research, it's like, wow, yo. So listen, from what I hear a lot of, higher spiritual wisdom in your lyrics, even back then at 93, but even deeper now. What is your avenues of study, and why did you chose hieroglyphics? And did that come from the study of Kemet, ancient Kemet?
Wow. Well, Dale came up with the crew name hieroglyphics. We had like a different names before then, but how he got it was literally there was some other dudes we knew because you know, we had little hip hop cliques out here and stuff like mad early when it wasn't very popular. So anyone who was doing it was really serious about it. And we knew these kids, and that was their name that was the name of their crew, but they thought the name was whack. And Dale said, "Can I have it?" And they was like, "Yeah, you can have that whack shit." And then Dale came up with the symbol, and the symbol is like, you know, the three eyes and the straight mouth, you know, the straight face circle.
You mean the emoji before we had emojis?
Right, exactly. That's dope. That's dope. So that particular hieroglyphic symbol actually ended up being damn. I'm catching a blank right now. It's this white cherry truffle. Let me see. It ended up being a hieroglyphics from one of the ancient South American civilization.
Incan.
No, Mayan.
The Mexican.
Yeah. So it ended up being like an ancient symbol from the Mayan hieroglyphics. And actually, there's a long story about how we found out what it meant. I could tell that if you want to, but
no, tap in, please tap in.
All right, so that's how we got the name hieroglyphics and the symbol. So a few years later, I had a friend of mine named Benjamin, rest in peace. He's passed since, but he used to drop by my house and we used to talk about like books and shit, and whatever, like whether it's commit type shit or
there you go, get with the knowledge, have them deep conversations.
He came by my house. We was gonna smoke some weed. He brought his girlfriend with him, and she was mad cool. And she was like, "Okay, this is your friend from hieroglyphics?" And he was like, "Yeah," because I know him since high school. But this was like in the some years after the high school, like in the mid to late 90s, I want to say. And she was like, "Hey, check this shit out. That symbol that y'all have." This is his girlfriend talking. She's like, "That symbol, I found it in this book. It's a Mayan hieroglyph." And I was like, "Word?" And so I got the book from her and I read the chapter right on the spot. And I was like, "Word, this is super interesting. Can I borrow this book?" And she was like, "Nah, you can't borrow my book. I don't know you. You know what I'm saying?" And I respected that. So I was like, can you guys wait here? We could just smoke some weed. Let me copy this chapter out hand by hand. So this is like the 90s.
Wait, she said that at the meeting, and she looked in your eyeballs and she was like, "That's cool, but nah, you can't hold this book. You gotta
now clear as day." And granted, she came with her dude, which is my homeboy. So this was all like mad, like right in front of each other. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, nah, you can't hold my book. We just met. You feel me? And I'm a reasonable person. I felt that. I was like, you know what? You're right. You know, I was like, but can we compromise? We could just sit here, smoke up. I got weed. I always got that. Let me just copy down this chapter on this hieroglyph hand by hand, because I gotta get, like, my boys gotta read this shit. And so, you know, back then, again, there was no like scanner and no sending nothing through no email at this point.
Wow.
If she didn't let me hold the fucking book, I would have to go buy it, or I could copy down this chapter. So I wrote down the chapter in by hand, the whole chapter on that hieroglyph, and that was that. I never seen her again, and he's since passed. But so I ended up showing this chapter to everybody, and what the hieroglyph actually meant. It was like, it had three general meanings. One was harmonic resonance, one was the concept of infinity, and the other one was the number 8. And so like, so this is circling back to what you originally asked. It's like, although we were into Kemet and all of that, the hieroglyph, the actual hieroglyph, is not Kemetic. It's Mayan. And Dale didn't know this when it came out of his head, when he came up with the symbol. He had no clue. He wasn't like, this is a Mayan hieroglyph that represents the concept of infinity and harmonic resonance. He didn't.
SoundMinds.
Yeah. So this was
SoundMinds.
crazy, man. So this was some years later. This is after we rocking the symbol. We out hieroglyphics and all of that shit. So It's pretty trippy. Hey,
So
true story facts.
on the same vein, I gotta ask you while we here, why the name
Well,
Souls of Mischief?
That's a all right. Originally, why we had to change our name. We had an old schooler. We had a 80s name. Like at that time still we were still rocking our 80s name, and but we was making dope demos, and like by this time we knew Dante Ross because we met Dante Ross through Domino, because Dante Ross signed Dell to Elektra, but Dante Ross knew Domino from the record store in San Francisco because Dante has family out here, so he would go to the record store that Domino worked at. So that's how they knew each other. And then Dante was like, "You should meet these kids across the bay," to Domino. He's like, "These kids hieroglyphics." That's how we met Dom. But so anyway, Dante said to us, he was like, "Y'all got to change y'all name." And we were like, "Damn, okay, what are we gonna do?" So we just sat around and came up with names after names after name after name after name after name after name, and we just kept beating it down. Like, we were young ass kids. We had nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? And we were so focused on this that we literally would walk around or sit in the backyard or find a place that we could hide and smoke weed because it was super taboo back then, and just think about the name. And one day I said Souls of Mischief. I got to take credit for that. I literally said Souls of Mischief, and everybody was like, "That's it. That was it." It was Souls of Mischief after that.
It just sits. It hit. It just hit.
Yeah, it did. And you got to remember, and I got to keep it a buck. This is around the time of, all right, we wanted something that really embodied who we were. We were like, we were cool, but we were like little mischievous kids off on our own little shit. We wasn't necessarily into any gangster shit at all, but we still from this area and we still get down in our own way. You know what I'm saying? So we just off on our own shit, doing our own shit, And
it fit perfect though, man. It fit perfect in many senses, somewhat like light skin. You know what I mean? In many senses, the name chose you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it seems. Like, you know what I mean? That's when you know everything is aligned.
The name and the symbol chose them.
Right.
But it's crazy because it was around the time to where it was like Black Sheep, Naughty by Nature, like De La Soul. It was like those were the groups that were out that were dope, and we just wanted to have an avant-garde name a la that era. You know what I'm saying? So if you hear Souls of Mischief, you can kind of like
succeeded at that.
Yeah, but it just
my brother, you succeeded at that.
Right on. And one side note too, it had for a brief moment in time, it had a Z on the end, and we had to kill the Z. For real brief moment in time, it had like the demo that we sent to Jive had a Souls with a Z.
Souls with a Z. Oh.
Hey, we pulled an audible prior to presentation on that one. I think we might have made a good move there.
All right, just to make sure I understood this correctly. When you did 93 Til Infinity, Souls of Mischief, hieroglyphics. Okay, I'm gonna say that for later. But when you did this, it was later on at a point in time when you found out that the symbol meant harmonic resonance.
Years.
Infinity.
Years.
So you had the symbol. You made my favorite album ever called 93 Til Infinity with this symbol. And then years later, you find out that the Mayans wrote that symbol of infinity.
Fact. Years later. What now? You see why I wanted to write the chapter down while she was there. I couldn't let this slip away.
Oh, that was clutch.
I you know what? I know somewhere in my storage stuff I have this still. Because I'm that type of dude that I don't throw away that kind of stuff. I don't throw away binders. I don't throw away rap folders. I don't throw away cassettes. I don't throw away vinyl. So I know one day I'm gonna pop up with that. I'm gonna once I gut like the shit I ain't been through in a couple of decades. I'm gonna find that. I know I will.
Yo, documentary part 2. Whoever's making a second documentary, that needs to be in there. That needs to be in there.
Because that's history right there. That's backbone.
A lot of people don't even write anymore. The fact that and that's what a quick segue in ancient Egypt, even though I know it was in South America, but in Egypt,
we still study Kemet though. I mean, we definitely. I just said that. Yeah, no. So to continue, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't want to. I don't want to wanted to seem like what like. So that led us to be like Mayan hieroglyph aficionados because we really like because culturally we're Kemetic for real. So
and that lets people know too. We was in the Americas and the continent of Africa. You know what I'm saying? But like
everywhere.
They say the scribes were sacred, so it wasn't like now where like everybody got a pen and paper. Certain people knew how to write these symbols and take the time to do it. So I had this moment where I was literally picturing you writing this down. You was in the tradition of those scribes where you were like, nah, this is sacred information. I need to write this down by hand.
So you're saying that's the same way that the Mayans got it from our ancient and from Africa.
Yeah.
Or like they was like, oh, word, let me copy that in the stone real quick. You feel me?
Could be. I mean, who knows how these seemingly separate civilizations have the same shit, you know what I'm saying? In their with their own cultural interpretations. There's pyramids here, there's pyramids there, there's pyramids in other places.
Yes.
So it's
there's pyramids here, but they call them mounds. There's pyramids in
brother Kambada. I feel like our brother Kambada would love this convo right now. Like this is like it goes beyond. It really goes back to everything that you've been on. When I say you really represent a universal diaspora being, like you're tapped into things where it's not always logically making sense or what the human mind predicts. It's more being open to things that you wouldn't think of, but you're open to finding out. And sometimes you find out more that way.
Yeah,
and you know,
I couldn't have said that better, brother.
You know what's crazy too is you're talking about what this conversation is about: fingerprints. You know what I mean? Like you can change anything. You can alter technology, right? But you're talking about fingerprints. The fact that you wrote down everything from that chapter and wrote it down, like that right there is fingerprints. And when we talk about fingerprints, not because you're on the call, brother, I got to be honest with you. I'm not the type to try to highlight just because you in front of me. 93 Til Infinity was a classic track that you produced. That was the name of the album as well. That right there, gotta be honest with you, is a fingerprint track. That is what we're talking about when we talking about historically. Like there's but so many tracks that, listen, man, hip hop has a lot of classics. Hip hop has a whole bunch of classic artists. But when I think of,
thank you, man.
I think there's probably about 5 tracks that did what 93 Til Infinity did. And the crazy thing is, when you're talking about the hieroglyphic symbol, the logo, you know what I mean? The infinity, the 8, the number 8, which is infinite, right? You put this track out at what, 18, 17, 19? Yeah. And you just, you spitting, out there just thought, yo, let's just name it 93 Til Infinity. And I'm pretty sure y'all never thought or knew.
That's exactly how we sounded. That's how you said it was exactly that's how it sounded. And then, just continue.
Talk on that, brother. Please talk on, because I got it again, A+. I'm gonna be real with you, brother. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not the type to sit there and hold flags for people. And I give just due when the just due is deserved. You put on a classic fingerprint to the hip hop culture. If you can, please just talk about that, man, because that right there,
right on, man.
Can't take that from you, brother.
Right on, man. Man, I'm honored. I'm honored. Thank you so much. To be quite honest, man, it's like surreal every day, bro. Like, and it has been for a while. It's just surreal. It's like, you know, like I said earlier, you can't really have the foresight as a kid that young as to even see what 20 years from now it's gonna look like. You know, it's like, even if you're forward thinking, it's just like, there's gonna be technology invented, like that changes everything in between, blah blah blah. So to even be, I mean, cause like listen, man, excuse me, Souls of Mischief and Hyro, we're like fans of the music that do it too. Like we so much fans of it that we took to this way to express our fandom. And so some people do it different ways. You know what I'm saying? Even within the music construct, people do it. Some people are producers, some people DJs, some people MCs. It's just like this is we're fans as well. So that's what makes this so humbling. Like to even have a song that, like, when, back in the day, like that, as a young kid, I just wanted to get in there with my heroes and be in the same, like be in the book with them. You know what I'm saying? That was it. and make a living. You know what I'm saying? That was my whole shit, and enjoy life from that perspective. Enjoy the world, learn more about the world. That was it. I was like, we'll see what happens from there, because I'm figuring I'm gonna have some new information, you know. But there's no way to force
So
it.
let me ask you, and like God is smart, like God is smart. So here's we gonna go to some questions that everybody want to know.
What's up?
You came up with the name Souls of Mischief.
I mean,
You
it
came
was
up with
it was during a brainstorming in which all of our energies were involved. You know, I have to say that
right,
I literally said Souls of
right.
Mischief, but we had been going at it together, dropping dumb name after dumb name to name for days, an hour. So I don't want to like sound like yeah, nigga, I made it up. I actually did, but the energy of it all. It was other people's energy and ether involved in the brainstorming
Oh,
process.
but see, that's the blessing of it. When
Yeah.
you can come up with something that you articulate or create with your physical form, but it resonates with everybody else's unconscious, it's only right that everybody resonates. Like the 3 dots, right? I'm looking at the screen right now.
Mhm.
For us as podcasters, our followers don't know this, but you in like our green room right now doing this podcast. And when we want to change our name or our mic settings, it's 3 dots that you press. When I go to Spotify for the SoundMinds playlist, if I want to look at the followers, it's 3 dots in a circle. Like, it's so universal. If you just open your eyes, and if you don't know, after watching this, a lot of people is going to start noticing that circling 3 dots. But you said Souls of Mischief. You got the one verse, which I'm gonna talk about in a second, that I actually remembered from another rapper, because I was like an arrogant Low East Side NY. I don't remember other people's words. I'm about mine. Mine got to be the best. And your joint stood in my mind, bro. And like you was from the whole other side of the coast, a whole different coast of the continent. And I'll talk about that in a second. But then, due to the documentary, this is the question. I found out you produced the damn track.
Word up.
93 Til Infinity, which is the title track, which is a track that if you put on to this day, it just has a nostalgia. It's not even nostalgia because little kids, I played this in front of little kids, and it's like nostalgia, but they feel like they know the track even if they never heard it before. So you produced that track. Could you please talk about?
That's crazy.
Like y'all talked about in the documentary, but what I don't understand is how come people on that, obviously you're a humble brother, but like, how come people don't realize that an individual like you could be a rapper, a dope MC, and be the person that produced the whole title track of the greatest hip hop album ever and be a producer like that? Like, why don't people know that you get down like that?
I personally, this is what I think. This is what I know actually. Back in those times, like in the early days of Souls of Mischief, and its version right prior to Souls of Mischief, like I did a lot of steering and I did a lot of moving and guiding the process. You know what I'm saying? And mixing the shit, producing, doing the scratches, coming up with the shits, and doing the song structure. I just did a whole lot of that shit for well into the that started changing for like when we started working on the second album, but up until getting a record deal and during the creation of 93 Til, like that I did that was just that was what I did in the group. You know what I'm saying? It was a group that I started with, that me and Tajay started. Then years later, OPO came into, and then right around like towards the very like in our later years in high school, then Fesso got into, but Fesso been Tajay friends since junior high school. So like, well, and he lived near Dell, you know what I'm saying? So we all kind of knew each other. So as far as oh yeah, so I did what I did when I was
originally you were producing. You had already been like a main producer.
Yeah. For sure. Like, yeah, as soon as I started learning how to produce good, I kind of took it over. Like Dale was producer for us at first, but he was mad busy, and we made dope shit with him. He made shit on our first 2 demos that really started, our first demo that really started getting some industry attention. But so basically what I'm getting to, with long story short, is when we were coming out, I'm really on some all for one type shit. and I didn't want no special attention from no production shit at all. I wanted it to be these 4 niggas, and this is how we doing it. It's these 4, and I kind of like literally purposefully played back my producing and shit. And I say this in hindsight. That's like, you know, I don't have many regrets in life, and even the ones I have, they're not like, you know, I guess I could frame it better than regret, but like just something I would have done different is probably a better way to frame it. I would have pushed myself more as a producer then, because it's like people don't really even know that now. And I produced mad shit for that did really well for hieroglyphics, but and you know, some people know, but I just think more people would know if I didn't like play myself back as a producer. It was really important to me that it's 4 of us. It's all for one camaraderie shit. This team, like all of that. I didn't want no extra attention, and we was a group, and that was just the mentality of the shit. And as a young kid, like I ended up like just being like, yeah, don't even push me about the production shit. Like if someone comes through, I'll take it.
Like as a youth, you basically. It's like either or a lot when you young, and you was mad young at that time, granted, right? So it's like you saying
I'm a loyalist too, though. I'm like a loyalist. Yeah, I'm like a super loyal dude. You feel me? And like, and we all got to sacrifice. We all got to sacrifice to be equals. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how that works. And I should be willing to do it just as any other member. You know what I mean?
But how is it now that, like, so as you get older, instead of it being like almost a dichotomy, like choose this way or that way, knowing that you might have went too far in that direction as a youth, what advice would you have for younger people now when they're like being humble, being down with the crew, but also not overshadowing themselves just to prove they're loyal? Like, how do you dial that up instead of flipping between both? How do you do it now? How do you let people know now? Look.
I think you said it, man. Exactly just how you said it. Like, it was just like, you know, a lesson I didn't know and hadn't learned, and this is how I ended up learning it. That I tell anybody now, like, listen, man, you could be completely loyal and completely look out for yourself too, and that anyone who really has a problem with that. And if they really have a true understanding of what you're doing and they have a problem with it, well, now you got some game on that. They may not be as cool as you think. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I could pass down my lack of the ability to do that at the time to somebody younger, like my son. I'd be like, yo, bro, man, listen, if somebody react like that to this, watch the fuck out. That's a red flag right there. You know what I'm saying? That's not a conviction. That's your dopamine in here stuff. You smell something over here. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I would do
my fault, guy. Plus, you know what, man? I gotta damn. That right there is a brick in the foundation that I think that needs to be built on in the mentality, and it goes back to Shamari Smith again. Somebody you grew up with in elementary school who's doing something. I just put up a live yesterday about this, man. Support is so much needed. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when you don't have that support from those that you want to build with because you grew up together, it's kind of like, damn, where do you go from there? You know what I'm saying? And I think what you're talking upon is that, you know, that humbleness, that integrity of saying, nah, I'm willing to sacrifice some so that we could all eat together at the same table. You know what I'm saying? And let's just be honest, though. All due respect, A+. It could have been one of them situations where, like, yo, 93's Infinity, though, that was just lightning in the bottle. But then you had other tracks like Never No More. You know what I mean? Like, you produced heat. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't never like, damn, it's just one joint. All right, cool. He ain't never going to be able to do that again. You were the, and I'm not going to say the backbone out of respect for the family, for your camp, but you definitely were production-wise and lyrically, you were a main pillar. And even with that being said, you still saying like, nah, I took some seats back just so my whole family could shine. You know what I mean? And I would salute you for that, brother, because that type of DNA and fabric, there's people that'll do anything just for attention, just because they need the attention. The fact that you are out there saying like, nah, yeah, I was definitely that dope. I was definitely that dude, but I ain't need that to be said to me all the time. I could sit back and let my family shine off of that. So shout out to you, man. I salute you with two hands just off of the being the king that you are with that.
I appreciate it to the fullest, man. Like, yeah, man, I really do. I appreciate it. And, You know, I guess that leads to why, like, you know, like why I'm doing all this new music like nowadays, because like the first 2 albums I put out this year, I recorded them before the pandemic, was before shelter in place. So so like I started, that was a plan I had already from like December. I was like, on New Year's Eve, I was like, I'm just gonna record the fuck out of this year. You know what I'm saying? So when COVID kind of hit, I already had 2 albums recorded and only one was out at the time. So
again, you are universal tapped in being. I just need to say that. Before the pandemic happened, he already had the pandemic proof plan. Are y'all listening?
Hey, Kaim, Invisible, that shit was recorded before the pandemic. Is when it came out with the pandemic, it sound like it go perfect with it though. That shit was literally recorded before the shit. Architect My Witness. And when we was listening to the album, when we done, we like, bruh, because we listened to it like mixing it and mastering it during COVID, like trying to see when we could even be around in the studio, you know. And we like, bruh, like we saying shit on both of these albums, on Free Dope and on Chamber Games, is saying shit like it could be taken as if COVID is already happening to somebody who's listening, and it'll be interesting for them to know that them shits was, both of them was recorded. We recorded Free Dope in 14 days in January, and we put that out in February, and then we recorded Chamber Games from then on. And the day we recorded the last song on Chamber Games, the next day was Shelter in Place. So all of that shit was all recorded before the shit, but it sounds like I'm writing COVID music.
You tapped in. You are tapped in.
That's crazy. That's my word.
Which is why I asked you, what is your field of study? Because you're tapped in.
Which study?
Like just like spiritual study, like, you know, just universal study, because you're literally tapped in. You are like, you know, showing that example of that universal being. Like, you write, I call it 10 years ahead. I coined it being 10 years ahead. Like, what my bars are 10 years ahead. When like, even now, like, I needed to be a grown man to actually understand the 90s hip hop. I needed to be 25 years old, 30 years old to now really understand it, because when I was a teenager, we was into what we was creating at that time, and we was doing our lifestyle, which was, we knew that it was, you know. So it's
dope. It's dope to hear that from your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of I understood it a little bit more just from you saying that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody really said that, man. I had to be here before I could even really put my, you know, like really understand what y'all talking about or what the vibrations are. That's very interesting. I mean, seriously. You
know what else is crazy? Something that me and Ross spoke about many a times together, man. Me and Kai. One of the things that I've noticed, man, and not only in hip hop, man, but when you go down to historics of music and art, truth of the matter is, man, I know when I'm penning, sometimes it ain't even me writing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just literally the conduit of other spirits that, you know what I mean, like coming through me. So a lot of times when I write something, it's just kind of like, yo, I don't even remember I wrote that. You know what I mean? And then so that's where you know you have the true artistry, but as well as the true mystics that are playing a part of who you are. So when you put things out, and like you said, man, you doing things before COVID, and then when it fits COVID, you like, yo, what is going on? That's more so the mystics playing within you. You know what I'm saying?
Everything you just said about that, when you pen in, and sometimes you just the vessel, man. You just like the conduit, like for real. Like sometimes
it's a whole different level.
You know, when you done writing it, and then you get to hear it with yourself out of it, like, you know, that point when you hear it and like, it ain't like you just wrote it, you hearing it like a song, and you like, what the fuck? That's not what I was thinking. Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Even, but you like, I like it though.
Even though when you're writing it is not coming from that place. Like, when you brought up Invisible, like when I listened to Invisible, I just listened to it so many times. My first thought was, wow, like, do you feel invisible? As a hip hop legend, now still releasing music at this time.
Could absolutely be. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's not what I was thinking, but that fits. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I listen, I did the same. I did the same shit with that song. Like, I'm like, yo, this could be interpreted. Like when my homie who did the video for me, he was telling me how he was interpreting shit, and I was like, whoa. Like certain parts, I was like, man, I didn't even think of it like that. I mean, that's kind of like one of those things about like, and that's like a way I've been trying to come on these records too. It's like that old hieroglyphic shit is aware that like it's layered, you know what I'm saying? And you can listen later and peep something that maybe you didn't hear before, or make a different distinctive connection with a concept on another one after repeated listens. And that's kind of what's like the staple of and the environment when we were releasing music back in the day. That's how it stood out. It's how like, oh man, after the 5th time I heard that, I peeped something different. That was like some shit we did. Like I'm not saying we're the only ones who did that, but we were in that class of artists at the time. And as time went on, you know, everybody has like honed their own skills and can rap different ways and stuff. And me personally, I just wanted to be more on that shit with these projects I was doing with Architect. I wanted to be just back on my like not thinking too hard about anything, just saying whatever the hell comes out my head. And you know, I talked to Architect about every beat. Like, how do you feel when you made it? How does it vibe off with you as the creator of the beat? And then I sit and think about it, and I just like write whatever the fuck. And just
well, I'm not sure how many people from like New York or the East Coast like see the section we come from. It's almost like, I guess, Oakland on the West Coast. A lot of people talk about LA and different California, but I noticed that a lot of people can't quite peg Oakland, and Oakland's like a major influence on the whole West Coast.
Yes.
But for East Coast people, they always think about they just like kind of throw it in with Cali, and they don't realize it's like its own thing that bubbles out.
So
that's kind of how
here we go.
in the LES.
Check the screen, because you just alley-oop for a question that was asked in the chat.
Word up.
Good luck for this chat. Good luck, Carlos, for this question. He says, shout out to y'all. I'm curious to know, what do you feel about the state of hip-hop today, and do you think 80s/90s hip-hop history styles, quote-unquote, will come back around and repeat itself?
Hey, Carlos, this is exactly what I was
question, Carlos.
Like, we had,
see, you know, I know the alley was coming.
We was kind of like in the LES. It was kind of like how I started to learn that Oakland was on the west side, where the LES. If you say the LES, if you wasn't from New York area, you would hear Bronx, Staten, Harlem. You wouldn't necessarily know the LES, but if you in New York, everybody knows the LES. That's where everything happened. That's where everything happened. And if you went between the different 5 boroughs, you had to go through the LES. So we was right there, and I think we was a little bit arrogant in terms about hip hop, because we just had all the venues, all the artists. Like, we just had the East River Park where they showed a lot.
Hold on, I need to cut you off though. The crazy thing is also, a classic movie like Wild Style was filmed in the LES. You know what I mean? Like a classic hip hop joint.
Park Stadium, that was an amphitheater in the LES. Thank you. Like, you see, same mind. So what I'm saying though is that, like, to the question and everything, what I realized about y'all is that, like, oh snap, we trying to figure out like what's the heart of this and what's the dopest lyricism and this and that. The idea we was getting was that West Coast rappers was slow. Okay? And when you already an arrogant New York cat, you like, oh yeah, that makes sense with how I think of it. We got that they was slow. We got that they was not thinking as deep and not as culturally in tune, this and that. Wow. Yo, it got to the point where some of the cats I know, you know what I mean? Like, some of the cats that like those was telling me your vocabulary is too much in your bars. You know what I mean? Even for a New York person, you got to turn it down. So then I ended up, the reason I went to the West Coast for like a year. You know what I mean? I was out there when I got hit to y'all, and when I got hit to Bones Thugs and Harmony. You know what I mean? So then when I heard, you know, somebody say, yo, I spit, I picked up my 9, I spatted something, and I lifted my blunt, I took a toke. And then I heard somebody in your crew, I think it was Festo, say, ponder on this, I swallowed the spliff with locution. When I escalate the proper speech,
Festo crazy with it.
Riveting centrifuge, and it's a real riveting centrifuge. Like everything you said makes sense, and I'm a nerd too. I was going to the nerd camp. I was like, yo, God niggas got bars and vocabulary. I don't need to tone my I gotta tone my bars up. You know what I mean? But I say that to say all of this. That wasn't supposed to happen on the West Coast. From what I was being told and taught, I wasn't supposed to learn that from a West Coast group. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was only the cats that back then we sent cassettes. People, if you remember, was saying cassettes from the West to the East.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't necessarily have a
Spotify. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And at my underground West Coast, they would put me on the Freestyle Fellowship and Micah 9 and Hieroglyphics and Dell. And then once I got hit to Souls of Mischief and 93 Till Infinity, it was over. The best album ever. But I'm not sure if you knew that. Like, one, a lot of people went on our side. We actually thought that West Coast was just like, it was just gangster music and it was just slow.
Yeah.
And then you changed the whole, like you elevated a lot of us on the underground New York to completely change how we even thought about your whole coast.
Yeah, definitely, bro. I mean, like New York cats was telling us that, like, yeah, first of all, thank you. Big up and thank you, man. Yeah, out there, I mean, like, you know, New York is like raw. So like people would tell us that when we was out there. We first started going out to New York like in 91, like searching for the record deals and pardon me, meeting with, you know, different labels and stuff and shopping our demo around and meeting people and shit. So we be out there and one of the big ways that we got exposed to the East Coast back then was through Stretch and Bobbito show. Cause they got us on their mixtape show, on their radio show, and
Bobbito said what up too.
Oh, yeah, shout out Bobbito, shout out Stretch, Reef, Maddie, you know what I'm saying, whole clique. So yeah, we ended up getting on the show. They was fucking with us, so we go up there, and then it became like a thing where we would go up there, and we was down with we ended up being down with Curious because we met him out here at the Gavin. So when we was in New York, the whole Constipated Monkeys crew, that was like our whole clique. Like that was that was like the clique we was fucking with when we came to New York. You know what I'm saying? It was mad deep, and we knew each other. I'm still friends with them to this day. You know what I'm saying? With George and Cotty and all them.
Curious.
Yeah, and Curious, that's my brother, man. Brother from another, man. So yeah, man. So doing the Stretch and Bobbito show, the underground New York, that's kind of how that we were first endeared to them, and we got a good response. And they were, and it's directly to what you're saying. It's like motherfuckers was like, wow, where are these motherfuckers from? They're not from what part of New York they from or whatever. Even though we obviously sound different, New York was not thinking this could possibly not be from the West Coast or anywhere outside of New York. It's like, this is some different New York shit. Motherfuckers would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the whole New York vibe. It's like, this the Mecca. Like, where is this shit coming from?
I have to agree. As a younger generation, still, when I heard you for the first time, my first time hearing 93 Till was, I mean, only recently, like within the last 10 years. I'm
blocking yourself on the screen, bro.
All right, yeah, no, I'm keeping that up because I want to get back to the. We ain't get to answer this question yet. So, but yeah, just to even piggyback on what you're saying is that when I did hear you, 93 Till, that sounded New York hip hop to me. Straight up. I'm not even gonna stunt. I mean, I'm on the East Coast too. It was straight up New York hip hop. And now I learned from the documentary, shout out to the documentary, that y'all Oakland, like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all coming from the West Coast, like, that's like, whoa.
Yeah, man. It's like, you know, growing up, like we was just hip hop heads. Like I've been a hip hop head since I first heard it in '79. I was just stuck to it since then. Any amount I could get. Tajay was the same way. That was like, you know, like we was friends already, but then hip hop was something that we both was like, dude, you was just kind of weird if you loved it because it was just so much of a small club back then.
So what do you think about hip hop today? What do you think about hip hop today?
Yeah, let's get to Carlos question. Shout out to you, Carlos. The state of hip hop today, man, is I think in ways it already has like repeated itself, you know, like because as the younger kids tap into some of the older shit and make it theirs, the same way that every generation has done to the music prior to them, or the art or whatever it may be. It's like, you know, we're on the shoulders of each other's achievements and shit. So I think the young people is like they're doing their own thing, just like we was. But they're doing it their way. But they definitely are have circled back numerous times for influences from the past. As a matter of fact, just the younger generations in general have been like in their own direction, yet retro driven too, like fascination with shit from 80s and 90s and shit anyway, and even 2000s now, you know what I'm saying? Like certain shit is coming back, and that's no different than you know, like hip hop. We were sampling shit that our parents listened to at the house and shit, or you know what I'm saying, like back in the day, or you know, so we were sampling oldies out of the family collection and shit, you know.
So
bringing it back new, like do it our own way, and I think that's just what the kids are doing, man. I think every generation kind of sets the tone for themselves, and who better to tell them how to do it than them? You know, and on top of that, you know, like I know this from experience as well because my son is 19. He already plays a couple instruments, sings, raps, makes beats, the whole thing. He grew up around the stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's in college for medical shit, but he still does all of that other shit. So I say that to say, I know that he gets influence from my old ass and shit. You know what I'm saying? And his whole style of sample selection and where now he digs online instead of just me digging into my crates or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but like
technology changes.
Yeah, technology changed I mean, look, man,
the way of discovery changes. You know what I mean? Like, when in my generation, where it was the beginning of the internet age. You know what I mean? 99, 2000, Napster, downloading music, pirating music. Like, what? When I was
when
11,
sales
12,
dropped.
You
That's the generation when hip hop sales dropped.
Yeah, you know, look, I was the 12 years old, a part of it. Like, I could get this for free.
I ain't mad at you, bro. I would have done the same shit probably.
So plus, go ahead, my fault, bro.
I want to add to that to even say that now fast forward, even within that question, he says, do you believe it's going to repeat itself? And just today, I swear to God, this just happened. You can't make this up. My son tells me, hey, I got a friend that's in my school that raps, and he wants me to get on a song with him. And he says, here, let me play you his music. Why do he sound like he from a tribe called Quest out here?
Wow.
Like, he sound like Q-Tip out here, yo, like. And I asked him, ask him, do he listen to Tribe Called Quest? Because I went and even compared it. I showed my son because I wanted to show you that the knowledge is born. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to make knowledge born real quick. So I showed him Tribe Called Quest, and I showed him his friend's song, and I compared the two, and I said, don't you hear the similarity? He said, wow. And he texted him. He said, do you listen to the Tribe Called Quest? He said, I mean, I heard of them a little bit. I mean, like, so he's tapped in a whole different way. Yes, he loves old school hip hop, but he doesn't study it in a sense. It's just a natural part of him already. That's coming out.
Symbol. It's like getting those 3 dots. It's like coming up with 93 Til Infinity and find out years later ancestors made that symbol. It's like, and this is all to answer Carlos's question, not to go on a tangent. Like, this is the real answer. I feel like the theme, like, we could call this whole segment for A+. By the way, I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. We do want to bring you back a later season. I'm gonna hit you about with maybe another member of Souls, because we want to do a season about like brotherhood and building institutions, stuff like that. So we're not gonna go far into that on this episode.
Okay.
But I feel like this whole episode really does tie into like how it is a cycle continuing and how we are connected. And it's really not the young versus the old, but there's a theme of like seeing past a lot of the divisions that we are all on that. And if you haven't already, y'all gotta go to A+'s Instagram. Y'all gotta like listen and see what this brother's about, because there's only so much we could say on the podcast. But like, you are really tapped into like connecting beyond barriers, I feel. You know what I mean? Whether it's the generations, whether it's the East Coast to the West Coast, like you represent that. And And the more I learn about you, the more you do that even more.
Right on, brother. I appreciate you.
Right.
I really do. I can't say it enough. Thank you very much.
So plus, my brother,
Yes, sir.
here's the meat and potatoes, brother. In the vein of what kind of like what Carlos was talking about in regards to the changes of hip hop or the secular, the secular type of feel, but also my brother Kaheem brought up Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta ask you this, man. Put you on the spot.
Yeah.
So Crazy Bone put out not too long ago. He put out a video where he was supposedly, or he was exposing a meeting that happened, a meeting of the minds that happened. And if anybody hasn't known about this, go check it out. A meeting of the minds that happened in regards to rap and hip hop and how this meeting changed hip hop. So just to kind of give a backstory, in the meeting, it was kind of like a whole bunch of CEOs and owners and so on and so forth, who kind of like the elitists of hip hop, who may very well not at all look like any of us, were deciding that rap had to be put out in a different way. And it kind of goes into kind of like what you being assigned a job as well. You know what I mean? But we're going to get into that. So, I mean, for the most part, the meeting was kind of like put out there where it was just kind of like, all right, artists of hip hop and artists of rap, this is what we want you to do. We want you to sound more poppier. We want you to sound more negative. We want you to sound no positive at all, and undertones. Everything needs to be headed and derived to where we want you to go. Just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that, man. Just to hear that there was even a meeting of hip hop when again, hip hop was hated when it first came out. You know what I mean? Like those who were putting the money down and those who owned the industry hated what was for us because it came from the parts. So just want to get your thoughts on that, man, and just know, what is your take on that? And then seeing where hip hop is now, where now it's kind of like diluted to being rap. And I always said, put a C in front of it, you got nothing but crap. You know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on that, brother?
Oh man, first off, I'm a huge Bone Thugs and Harmony fan. For real, anyone who knows me knows that. Like seriously, like if we're going on tour and I'm the one to get the radio, I'm playing a whole lot of Bone Thug. And I've told them every time I see them. So they already know. They go like, okay, here go A+ again. I'll be like, yo, man, my niggas, I'm like, I'm a real Bone fan. But anyway, just had to say that. Yeah, regarding that meeting, that
Boom, 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 boom.
yeah, man, love Bone, bro. I was like, man, this motherfuckers is singing murder. You know what I'm saying? And they're singing like some ill ass, like real dark shit, and they're singing it really like nice and it sounds dope. And I want to smoke weed to it. It was just like a trippy ass feeling that when you hear, it's crazy. But anyway, that's Bone.
They elevated the lingo just like you. It's a couple people that I could say Nas, I could say Souls and Mischief, I could say Bone, that did something with the wordplay where it changed whole styles of what people knew they could do with a language. So enough love to Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Thank you, and yeah, enough love and respect to them. About that meeting that he was exposing. So basically, the part I watched, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched the first like 10, 15 minutes of it. Talking about the letter of the confession of someone who attended the meeting, who was in the music business at the time, who got kicked out of the meeting and was threatened because they signed the NDA, and it was like some real dark shit about the private prison owners getting in cahoots with the music business to only proliferate certain kinds of music and shit, and basically, long story short, have more people in jail over bullshit by propagating the shit through the power of music.
Wow.
But
wow.
yeah, and
that hits home.
It does hit home, man. And like I've heard such stories like that, being in the industry for the time that we've been in the industry, and at one point in time we were like really close to the industry, like for like a good stretch of those formative years when this shit was happening, and have maintained relationships with people who are still execs and shit. So That said, man, yes, something definitely did happen. So this letter that he's talking about this meeting, supposedly it happened in 91. Now that's right around the time like we were just about ready to like our album was done probably, or no, not yet. So we recorded the album in 92. But that was right around the time we were getting into the industry. Dale had just came out with his album in 91, and we were negotiating at that time with different labels and shit, still in high school.
People having memory loss. They don't remember on the books.
That's off his second album. That's the one that came out in 93. Yeah, No Need for Alarm. But yeah, there was a time in the industry right around that time when hella people like personally, our experience, our label, even though we had a successful album with them and everything, and they knew what kind of shit we were on, our label told us to become a pop group, or that they was going to like bench us, basically, right around the same time. And it was like, it kind of blew our minds because we just like, we didn't understand why this was happening like this. This was crazy. And we were just like, nah, we're not going to do that. And they were like, suit yourselves. And we put out one more album with them, which actually didn't sell bad at all, even though they tried to shelve it, kind of. But so at that time, like a lot of people who had like good albums that made money, and even like successful acts, all just lost their deals right around that time. When you're talking about like, you know, Dell, myself, like leaders in the new school, like Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Brand Nubian, like just all those kind of like, and
all the conscious rappers, rappers.
Yeah, yeah, anything. You know, I wish I was more prepared with a list or something, but you know, those kind of rappers of that time, they were just kind of just literally all just got dropped. There were consolidations of record companies. I believe around that time, I'm sure around that time, Warner Brothers, Elektra, and Atlantic joined together and became a WEA Entertainment Group or something like that. There were some other consolidations and shit, and there was just a general shift in music and how shit was getting done from up top. Now, I didn't know specifically about this meeting, but like I saw this happen myself. What I'm describing, that shit happened, and then as being a fan of the music, I also watched it. Because I was still, even though I'm rapping, I'm in the business, I'm still going to the record store every Tuesday and getting all the new shit I want and buying it and taking it home and listening to it like the fan I am. You know what I'm saying? So I saw the shift in shit, you know, from the angle and being in the industry.
And it went from like them being able to say, okay, that's too conscious, or we want certain politics to saying that's not marketable.
They didn't have to say.
But you know what's crazy?
Shit, and they didn't have to.
Marketable.
Right. They didn't say.
You know what's crazy?
They didn't have to. They just didn't say nothing.
Not to cut your wisdom, but the reason why I asked you that plus is because if you think about it, it was around 88, 89. Again, I was real young, but Self-Destruction was coming out. You know what I mean? The Message. Melly Mel was earlier, so when you think about hip hop, right? Hip hop was much earlier. Yeah. But I'm saying like that type of music. KRS was out.
The West Coast version of Self-Destruction. They had
Self-Destruction. Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. Free South Africa rap. That shit with like 20 motherfuckers from the Bronx and shit all on it, and like for the apartheid shit. X-Clan was huge. They were like had gold albums and shit. One of my favorite groups.
Poor Righteous Teachers.
One of my favorite groups.
Public Enemy.
PE. Like all of
you know what I mean? Like if you think about that,
that shit got shut down. All of that shit got shut down.
1,000%.
So we're pretty much saying that basically up until the time that this letter that we're talking about is when we had a rise of a conscious movement, a conscious music movement. You know what I mean? With all those artists that you mentioned, they were all blowing up in their own way, and they all had messages that you needed to listen to. They all was black empowerment. They all had to. It was really tapping into knowledge of self.
Yeah.
You know, empowering the people, things of that nature. And you mean to tell me now, up into this letter, we really can now see the shift. Yeah, not for real. You know, I think it was the way it looked to us and the way it was commonly shown to us is that these other forms of this music would be more economically viable
because we're corporations. If we sell this shit, we'll make more money. And that's the understanding that always came down like in the most like, you know, on the level way. But the fact of the matter is that like we know that when you use ad money to put something out in front of people, they'll like that shit. What you know what I'm saying, if it's dope, you know.
And y'all proved that when y'all went independent. Y'all been one of the most successful entrepreneurial projects in American in the modern era. You know what I mean? Hieroglyphics could, I don't know, y'all probably already do teach lectures because like I know colleges bring me into lecture on things I do as an independent artist. So I'm sure y'all been brought into things.
I've done a few. We've done a few, man. Definitely.
I would expect that. And like it goes to show that y'all was more successful than that business structure, right? So was it that y'all wasn't successful or wouldn't be viable, or was it that y'all wouldn't stay in that slavery position that they wanted you to be? They didn't want that type of message in music to be that viable, and they used that language of not being marketable, not being the right genre. Hip hop far outpaced rock after that too. So it's like maybe the language they was using. But I'm gonna be a jerk right now, okay? Just because I gotta say this. Because I had my little, right at that time, y'all was like, you know what I mean? Y'all was letting me know I could do this and take it seriously. And I went on and I got a little Def Jam production deal. And Def Jam was like the biggest thing in the world to me. But I was still like light nose. I was still like underground battling everybody in the street. Are you not the same universal being who manifested on the track and pronounced the phrase, "If you're really dope, why ain't you signed yet?" But I did. My loop from Jive Zamba, I'm a bomb ya. You will see from now to infinity. In the midst of everything we saying, at the same time, didn't you say an argument which often comes out, which is like, "Oh, you ain't signed, you whack." So
yeah, that's that OC, bro. Yeah,
hey, yo, he got you on that one right there. That's a good one.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you. First of all, I'm gonna start by saying
you might be the reason I got my deal. Because I wanted to be, everybody else, especially in the underground with skills, was like, I'm gonna stay independent, unsigned, this and that. I was like, in the back of my mind, I heard, if you really dope, why ain't you signed yet? I was like, nah, I gotta see if I can get a deal first. Because if I'm really dope.
Hey, you know what? It's a trip, dude. First of all, I have to start by saying this for real. So your realm of influence is basically where you get your raps from, the source of like your experiences. I mean, that's where you get your experiences from, like just the shit, whatever can affect you, you know. And writing those raps around that time, these were written before I had an album out, right? I was specifically like just one dude or a couple dudes I knew was some dickhead ass dudes, and I was thinking about them when I was like, because I'm not even that kind of dude unless you really earned that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, why spit in the face of your blessing, man? That's just not cool for yourself and in general, right? But a couple times you just get to get your
Hey, he said you caught me in a moment where I had to talk my shit.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you motherfuckers like that. So little do I know. So this is literally just some joke motherfuckers that like that's rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, when I get on, I'm gonna let these niggas have it, right? So that was that, right? I didn't even know the concept of having a song out, an album out across the world where it'll be people I don't know at all listening to this shit talking about, yo, that got me hot, B, or whatever the fuck got, man. So listen, so to frame it, I was talking about just like some motherfucker in our hip hop scene around here, right? The song comes out, we going on the road, we go on our first tour, our first big tours with De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest. That's our first tour, real tour, like, you know, really doing it. They showing us mad game and this and this and that. So while we're on the road, it's like everywhere we go, people is trying to battle us. You know, everywhere we go, like the MCs of their town will be there, like, let's go now. It's a da. And so we looking at like, why is motherfucker so aggro, bro? I mean, what is this all about? You know what I'm saying? And then at some point it comes out, like we talking, I think, you know, I can't remember who all was around, but I know the Souls of Mischief was there and a Tribe Called Quest, and likely De La Soul as well, if not if not, Maceo's probably there. And but definitely, I don't remember exactly. I know definitely Q-Tip was there. And we was like, yo, man, why everywhere we go, like motherfuckers coming at us, like blah blah blah, and this and this and that. And Q-Tip was like, man, y'all don't know, y'all talk mad shit. The way y'all hear yourselves, motherfuckers is coming at you like y'all exciting every nigga out here from every city because y'all talk mad shit. The little shit on TV, the little ads when you be like, niggas is whack. Blah 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 blah. The people, if you ain't signed, you whack. Like,
isn't it? Didn't you say? Didn't one of the first things that I saw in the interview? I mean, in the documentary, it was like, yeah, nah, we here for forever. You know, whatever came out before us, we just here to show you that shit was whack. Like,
but that was our thing. Well, we really believed it, but like we was really like. We was against our odds. You got to remember, it was a hostile environment at that time. If you was like not from New York at all, motherfuckers was already like, we had spent enough time in New York with niggas that was cool with us to see what it's like when people ain't. You know what I'm saying? If it was people like, these are West Coast ass, like, because that was real big dog prime Mecca time. I mean, we grew up dreaming of the day to go to New York. You feel me? Like we.
I don't know if people understand. Like, I'm a kid from the heart of NY, and y'all is my favorite group, and you put out my favorite album.
New York.
I didn't even know what Oakland was really. I didn't even know what that was.
New York embraced the Souls of Mischief for real. But I'm talking about like before we was out. We was out there for months, living out there, mixing the record and shit, living on 34th and Lex. To 10 blocks from Jive Records in Battery Studio. We was living right there. You know what I'm saying? So,
but you know what? You know what the crazy thing is in that era too, honestly speaking? I think the dope thing about the 90s, the early 90s going into like 2000, probably 97, 98, man, a lot of people knew, like, you know, when you hear the stories of the KRS Ones and the what's their name, man, when they got hit off the stage. PM Dawn. PM Dawn. Like, you hear stories like that, man, back in the day, honestly speaking, and we come from that. We come from that fabric where it was like, yo, if you talking about what you talking about in your rhymes, I'm going to come check you one of these days. So just be, you know what I'm saying? So now, totally different. Now people are like, yo, nah, that's just music. You know what I mean? So, you know, I shout out to True Life from the Lower East Side. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we know what it is, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, that's why I asked that question, man, because if you look at today's supposed art, and I don't want to disrespect it, but I'm going to, because truth of the matter is, it's derivative is hip hop, the culture. So when you look at the music now, that's why I asked that question, because nowadays, damn it, you ain't even got to say nothing on the track. You could harmonize and just not even spit nothing, or you could just play a facade, you know what I mean, and put this bravado out that you're not even, but most people ain't even trying to test you because everybody doing it now. You know what I mean? When you look at that meeting, when you look at the impact that a meeting like that, if it did happen, let's just say suppose, right? But if it did happen, we could definitely see the impact that a meeting like that would have had on our culture and as well as our people. Because now when you see the current superheroes capes, their capes are looking real flagrant. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of their fabric ain't even made of the original stitch. And it's just like, yo, hold on. That's who you looking up to? You know what I mean? Like, snitching? That's your thing? You know what I'm saying? So
crazy. Man, without going too hard, man, this generation is like, it's just going through a lot of different, I don't know. There's a lot of theories. I don't know if it's like if this is a reaction to so overexposure or so much more exposure through modern technology and the advent of new technology, because as people are getting a lot more, not just us, I mean, not just the younger generation, everybody else too, but like they're living their whole lives not knowing nothing but that. It's a lot of information, and a world ain't really keeping up with how they feeling. So they, you know what I'm saying? They just out here doing whatever, like, I don't know, man. Who am I to speak on that shit? I'm an old ass fogey, bro. I can only really comment on my 19-year-old, but that's like my inside look at these motherfuckers. You feel me?
So
that's the thing, though. You an elder, you know what I mean? At your age right now, and it's funny because when we look at it, honestly speaking, and like I said, I think we about the same age around the ballpark. So when we look at our elders, when we talk about elders, our elders used to be 60, 75, 80 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like they spitting wisdom at us as young bucks. And it's just like, yo, this is the way you don't do things. But now at the age of 41, 42, we've become elders because it's just like, now we've seen the generation and what our generation not even created, what was spawned from our generation. And it's disgusting. So it's just kind of like, damn, we become elders by default just by spitting gems and game to those that don't know no better, because the ones between us and them, they were where they at now. You know what I mean? So shout out to you, man. And even your 19-year-old being able to do what he do, but still practice medicine and still studying, you know what I mean, in that field of medicine and being a doctor is just more so now, but he's still dope though, because he's still part of A+'s DNA. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And, you know, and I want to stress that emphatically. Shout out to the fact that y'all have come out and become moguls and entrepreneurs and family people as well, while still being legendary, still doing shows, still recording COVID-proof albums. You know what I mean? Like that's something that you are really, that I could look out and I don't have to be like, oh, I like this group as a kid. You feel me?
Right.
I could look at you as like, oh, these brothers is real Black men out here that is showing what we could do. We can embrace our culture. We can entertain. We can edutain. We can run our families. You know what I mean? That means a lot to me.
Yeah, right on. Thank you. Definitely, man. I'm saying, man, like it shouldn't be like anti-trendy to want to live longer and get more experiences and shit and be like, oh, you 40 something. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so you just
living is dope. I mean, experiencing this and having more time to do it is dope, and it's a blessing. And this shit is definitely like fleeting. This shit is over in a day. It could be gone like that. You know what I'm saying?
Are you
saying? I'm not like one of them dudes that's like, oh, fuck the youngsters or nothing like that. I could say fuck some of that shit they doing. You know, I could agree with that. But when I make my music, man, I'm just like, man, you know, I hope people will be like, oh man, you motherfuckers should embrace
like
me,
and let live.
Yeah,
it sounds like you're saying, I give it all I got. That's all I got to give.
Yeah, live and let live.
Let live.
Like,
and this brings me to the greatest verse that I've ever heard in my upbringing. That I walked away from the music playing because it had to be a cassette or a boombox. Like it wasn't Spotify. Phones. Like I walked away. I'm walking out. This is when I'm gonna be real for people who don't understand. I had to put a quarter in a payphone if I wanted to make a phone call. You get me?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm walking away from the music and the dual cassette player, and this verse is still in my head. And it's what you're seeing now. But when you was a youngin', you spit this verse. And I'm on the East Coast in the heart of the pit of the core of the apple. And I'm saying this thing from a brother in Oakland. It's like, it starts like this. Thou shalt not kill. I say, yo, that's a biblical verse right there. Thou shalt not kill. You talking about? And then you said, I will if I have to. I said, like when Nas said, when I was 12, I went to hell for snuffing Jesus. It was like, wait, you're not supposed to say that, but it caught me like, wait. But then you went on to explain the dissertation in rap form, and I'm listening to the dissertation like, wait, thou shalt not kill. I will if I had to. You would say I'm the one promoting violence. Well, I ask you. So I'm like, oh, you're asking me a question, but as a Black man, we asking the white society in general that penalizes. So now he posing this question back to society, this trying to criminalize us. You say I'm the one promoting violence. Well, I ask you.
Yeah.
Being light walking from the LES up into the rest of Manhattan, which is now, but back then they was all, oh, I'll never go to the LES. It's dangerous down there. It's dirty. Right? So now I'm walking out there, and I got this question on my mind. Well, I ask you. Y'all looking at us. Have you ever seen the sight of bullets passing you?
That shit sounds horrible. That shit sounds horrible. Bullets passing you? That shit sounds absolutely horrible, bro. That's like the worst. But like that's it was
when bullets penetrate skin. What pain? when a brain leaves a stain with the quickness. So I get a fool if I think that I'm on this hit list with the swiftness of a black man. So now who got your back? My gag got mine. Find a brother with some dreads. You figure you're gonna kill him. You know what I mean? Before
Yeah.
you on a stretcher, I bet you, like, it's like,
Man,
if
right
anyone
on,
hasn't heard it, it's an actual argument. And we've all gone through points where you might be a little bit too passive or a little bit too aggressive. And I just feel like this verse right here, and live and let live, helps you find the medium between saying, don't let people devalue your life and kill and take away your life. But at the same time, don't walk around, trying to take other people's lives. And shout out to my brother Rich from Dreamville. He's going to be on the podcast next week. And he had a line as well, similar. He said, try to keep the peace, but keep your peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You was the first one to just give a whole dissertation. So I think that's why I stood in my mind. And I just wanted to give you your flowers for that verse. Like, that was like a historical black urban perspective of history, of how we feel and how we can address people. It deals with the Second Amendment, it deals with gun laws, it deals with the value of black life, and being able to say, okay, and they talk about black on black violence and all that. It deals with being able to say, look, stop telling me that it's something wrong with me defending my life, and I'm violent and I'm dangerous, and at the same time, y'all want to be able to completely always devalue our life. And now here we have it, decades later, and there's this slogan, Black Lives Matter. And your song, Live and Let Live, was a perspective of why Black Lives Matter way back then. And the whole footnote of this whole thing is y'all was some ill spitters with jokes and battle rhymes and punchlines, and in the middle of that album, you spit this soliloquy, this dissertation, bro. That was like one of the deepest things I ever heard in my life.
My brother, man, I'm honored and humble, brother. Thank you, man. Seriously, man. Like seriously, that certainly honored and humble, man. That came from a real place. It was really hot where we lived at that time. I'm pretty sure. I mean, probably the nation was hot at that time. It was just like a real violent ass time. I know where we lived specifically in Oakland in the Bay Area. It was just hot as fuck. People was getting picked off. It was like shoot up at any party, shoot out at every party. If you go into a party, there's gonna be some kind of shooting or attempted or something. It's just like regular, so you kind of always know you risking your life going out, but that was just the culture. So like you'd just be at the party because it was popping. And when everybody knew if you were smart, you knew when and how and where to run when that shit popped off. And it was at that time too. And also on the streets too, like, and if you was trying to be any kind of different at all, you had to prove you wasn't soft at all too. You know what I'm saying? And it was like we all from the same place. So, but some people just wanted like, we on this hip hop shit, so we rocking our hip hop shit. And some more insecure people would like take that as some kind of weakness, and so we used to end up scrapping all the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? Like we still from out here. You know what I'm saying? And but when it comes to like shootouts and like people losing their life and shit and all of that shit, that's what that song was trying to express. It's like basically what you said. It's like the devaluing of black lives and how it's just like I don't feel it. My whole shit was like, I don't feel it's cool for you to try to take my life, and I will defend myself. You know what I'm saying? That was my whole shit. And that's really how I live too. That's actually how I really live my life. I was really living like that too.
But you know what that is too, man. It's kind of like that was needed. You know what I'm saying? Because like, back in the day when we was in school, I don't even know if the kids do it anymore. It was show and tell. You know what I'm saying? So show and tell, you come in and bring like, your pet turtle or whatever it is that you showing and telling. But that was your way of saying, yo, listen, I get it. Yeah, black and brown, we kill each other and so on and so. That verse kind of explicitly, very descriptively said, well, this is why we doing this. You know what I mean? And then again, to take into account around that time, drugs was being pushed heavily in all projects. You know what I mean? So heavy, you know what I mean? So and it was all strategic. You know what I mean? You put in a vice where people gonna try to either get money or become addicts of when you become addicted to, now all of a sudden you got all these killings and everything going on for filling your pockets. So it was kind of like, you do that, and then you draw this picture of, hey, every black, brown, and young, especially young man, is nothing more than an animal who's killing themselves. But you kind of like took that and said, well, let me explain to you why that's going on. Let me explain to you my anger and what's going on and why I got to defend myself. You know what I mean? So that was much needed, man. That was your show and tell moment where it was just like, we do the, fools get lost, no sense of direction. That's when you know what I mean? You do all that for the hip hop culture, but at the same time, watch me take this culture and at the same time give you some gems so that you understand why we are the way we are and understand us from a better perspective. You know what I mean? So that was dope. Man. Shout out to you in that verse.
Coming up now. I know I belabored the point, but I do feel it goes way beyond and it answers a lot of the other questions that are being asked. That was an example of the solution to it. What do you think gave you the confidence and the safety to do something like that in the middle of a rap album, in the middle of a rap song? And do you feel like after these changes in 91 and 93, 96, 97 with the industry, do you feel like you yourself and Hyro being independent allows you to still be in that space? And do you feel like rappers in general are still able to? Med said when J. Cole was putting out this track called Fire Squad, he says, this year I go to the awards, dap it down, watch Iggy win a Grammy as I try to crack the smell. Like, he starts really dropping knowledge, and they said a lot of people didn't want them to release that song and put it out on a label. What do you think allowed you the space and confidence that you could really go in and show that black intellect? And do you think it's still possible now? And is it more possible as independent, or is it still possible for people on radio and known as artists?
To first answer to answer the first part, I believe that one of the main reasons why we were able to do songs like that, and this is just like more the ground level reason, is that because when we made our albums, we wanted our albums to be like chill, but we wanted our albums to be hard too. We for our version of hard, or like aggressive b-boy shit or whatever. I'm not talking about hard like male posturing. I'm talking about like just more, like more that vibe. We wanted that, as well as we had like I called myself the man. That was like our chick song. So we need a chick song. You know what I'm saying? Or like songs like Live and Let Live was our harder song, or like Anything Could Happen is like our story song. You know what I'm saying? That's how we was approaching making these records. That's on the most ground level of it, because we were like kids making a record. Like, that's really how we were thinking about the shit. And what came out is what came out.
Crazy. That's so crazy.
But even more so than that, like, we always were into wordplay too. So like we would let it see what happened, and then we would see what we wrote, and then be like, oh damn, this is like, this came together. It's just like the vibe, But even further into your point, when it comes to the label and like being able to be bold with them, I just purely believe that they couldn't read that deep into the music then. This was like 1991, 92. They were just like, they're probably like Tribe and De La. I really love this record, fellas. I don't even think there was any threat of anything we could do, because we had already had it. We already had songs that they love. We had like Cab Fare and Step to My Girl on the demo shits.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Bad in Practice was more like a grittier category song for us. Our label wasn't really looking at us like we were gonna make any kind of political statement. They just thought we were gonna be cute and handsome and rap well and be like, our b-boy shit. You know what I'm saying?
It kind of reminded me of some of my Jamaican dancehall friends, where when they chat in patois, the people just be dancing and stuff, but they don't really understand what they even saying.
True.
And it allows some of the artists more creative control.
Yeah. Plus, I gotta so real quick, brother. Couple of things. We about to wrap up real soon, man. I gotta listen, man. There's no promotional value to this except for the fact of the truth and what it is. There's a dope group, and when I tell you, when I first heard them, they reminded me of Y'all So Hard, young kids, man, from Brooklyn, known as Loaf Music. and music is Muzik. Yo, four young kids. They're a little older now. When I tell you that they reminded me so much of y'all when I first heard them, I was like, yo, it's crazy. They got a dude, oh so dope, reminded me of Opio Hard, like same skin tone, texture, everything. Like, so whenever you get a chance, man, check them out. But I also wanted with the same.
Tell me the name again.
Loaf Music. Loaf Music is LOAFMUZIK.
Okay.
And when you see them, get back to me. Let me know, man. Because like I said, they remind. And again, I haven't. I got put on to them. Shout out to my brother D1, who was kind of like helping with certain things, man. And when I heard them, I was like, yo, they got lyrical skills, the same kind of like changes and styles. So definitely let me know what you think about them, man. I don't even know if they together right now. I hope they are. I really hope they are, but just wanted to, what.
Yeah, I'll definitely check them out. No doubt about it.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. And then the other question in the same vein of that is, and then before you leave, we need to get a 16 from you, your favorite 16. So that every artist we bring on here, I just gotta let you know that. But
wait, hold on. I gotta spit a 16?
Your favorite 16. Whatever anything you wrote back in the day, anything, every artist that come up, we've done it. We let, just 16s just bring out.
And we live. Y'all know how many joints I can smoke.
That's why I'm setting you up. That's why I'm setting you up with this first question so that you can think about that. Is there anybody currently right now, any artists out right now that you listen to? That
Rob, why is Blake transforming to Optimus Prime? Is it just me? Is
that me? I sound like Optimus Prime?
No, he said I sound like Optimus.
Oh shit.
So is there any artists right now that you listen to, a couple of artists that you listen to that you kind of like, again, brother, you are part of royalty in this game. You know what I mean? So is there anybody that you listen to now that you like, damn, yeah, that baton, I'm cool with them holding on to that baton for hip hop, the culture?
Any artist I'm listening to now? Man, I should be able to say somebody right now. But then like any artist I could think of right now, man, they ain't got no music. Like I be telling the artists that got dope niggas, dope people I know, like give me some music. And they don't be having no music. I was like, you can be dope, but you gotta make some music though. You know what I'm saying? Consistently. Well, let me see. I know Tajay's coming out with a record. I haven't heard much of it. I've heard like little pieces, but what I heard was super duper fire, and it's him and the Architect. So, that's gonna be fire. What else? Of course, I'm coming out with another album at the end of this year, another little project, just something I'm putting together just for the holidays, and so that's something that's I'm trying to pull it off. I'm trying to pull it off. See, COVID slowed things up.
Yo, A+ get down like that. I'll put something together for the holidays. This man is putting out so much stuff. Like when I went to your Spotify and started looking at your discography, I was like, yo, I didn't even realize.
And you know what though? Like I must say this, and I gotta say this. I'm gonna start saying this more publicly. Like there's some mess ups with the because there's some other A+ out there. So the official A+ on Spotify, I'm still trying to get the spot back from the dude who's on there, and there's like a bunch of other people named A+. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, there's been like
that makes sense because
there's probably some songs that are not me that you thought was me, bro. Like there's definitely some songs. Like I have people be hitting me like, man, I went and listened to your album and the shit I heard, man, that shit wasn't fire. You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm saying like I've literally gotten that call. So I tell people to search by album name for me. Search by album. But so I'm still trying to tie together the Spotify shit. People don't want to give up the name, even though I should have it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to work it out. And on top of that, there's been distributors and like even stuff put out by High Road where my name isn't spelled with a dash. So when I try to go to Spotify, like some of my albums are registered as A space P, and some is registered as A-P, and it like convolutes the whole searching for me type shit. And it's still something I'm working on. It's like trying to get it done with Spotify. It's been a little bit of a challenge. So I just say, like, man, look, it's like all I can say is just like, man, if it don't sound like man, I don't want to diss no other people out there. I'm just saying.
No, but if it ain't you, it ain't you. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So,
like,
and you know what?
mm-hmm.
Plus, we meeting right now, brother. I'm gonna tell you straight off the bat, B, you part of us, and whatever you need from us. If we need to go out and get the people out there to get what you need, but on top of that, I'll say it for you. If it sound like trash, it's not A+ from Hieroglyphics. It's not Souls of Mischief. You know what I'm saying? I'll say it for you since you ain't gonna say it.
Thank you. I don't want them. Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't want them to start looking at me like I just flipped my script and
nah, Lights can set it.
Yeah,
Lights can set it.
We're gonna definitely chop it with you about that too, because both me and Rush Shaman have talked to Spotify and had to get our stuff arranged before too. So we can help with that.
Oh, right on, man. I'll chop with y'all, man. Because then they ask for they're like, who's the manager? And I'm like, well, I'm managing myself mostly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't got an official manager. I got some people that help me with some shit. But like, I've been around a long time. Like, if I need somebody to handle something big, then I'll acquire that person. But I'm the manager for all intents and purposes. All right, well, let me talk to the label. Well, I own the label. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so they actually will they want you to find somebody that's supposedly running your label. Like it can't just be me. Or like I'm not an owner in Hyro and I can completely speak for myself when it comes to me. You know,
well, we know what that is, man. That's kind of like, at the end of the day, I want to talk to the person who owns what you do, because truth of the matter is that I can't give you what you deserve, because then that takes away from the strategic planning of what we've been doing for years. You know what I'm saying? So, when you come up to them on some real I spit lyrics, but I handle my own business too. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about my business. Me, I am the business. You know what I'm saying? So plus, with that being said, brother, do you got a 16 that you want to bless the people with?
I gotta think, man. Like, I ain't said. Hold on, just let me think.
Is everybody's internet going out, or is that just mine? I keep seeing the screen in black and whatnot.
It's just you. Everybody else is good, but you have been a little bit shaky, but it's not that on our end. Yeah, it's not bad on our end.
Yeah, was I sounding choppy too? Okay.
No. Everybody's been sounding
all right.
good.
I think I could spit something, but forgive me if I mess it up or something like that. Or maybe I should spit something I really fucking know. Now I'm gonna try to spit something I don't know. Whatever. All right. It go. Just because it ain't a lot don't mean that it isn't deceptive. Some people change their face, replace them with different impressions to keep you guessing. Yeah, they hoping you missing the message. Cowards always talk the loudest, never getting aggressive. Send them a message on a mission to their own hell. Problems, I got my own. Yeah, we on our own here. So scared, I bet your balls don't even grow here. They can't go there. I'm bailing through with no fear. Oh yeah, like the Kool-Aid man, and I don't give a fuck who they am. It's Black Adam, nigga, fresh out the fire with the wings burning, things turning. These vermin is rats, the themes reoccurring. Plead verbiage is facts, to me it's reassuring. A street sermon with raps to keep the people earning. I'm deep swerving through traps, I see the reaper lurking. I keep murdering wax the week I keep them working. Nothing to be concerned with. Yeah, 16? Yeah.
Let's go. Come on, plus.
Yeah, man. Y'all caught me off guard with the 16, but you know what I'm saying? I rap, so I know
exactly, brother, and that's why. That's why we do that, though. You know what I mean? Because true spitters are gonna be able to spit on sight. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you just come on, brother, that was fire, babe. That was fire.
Word up, Steve.
And we blessed to have that.
Thank you for having me, man. And now I know on my return trip, I know I gotta have something in the tuck. That's something y'all can only do. That's something y'all can only pull on first timers.
Yeah.
No doubt, man. It's an honor to be here, fellas. Truly appreciate it. I'd love to be back, no doubt, man.
Amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah, we definitely, yo, and I'll leave it to you. You know, we'll chop it up later, but I'll leave it to you to think about, like, if you was gonna bring another member of Hyro, who would it be to talk with us about, you know, that whole cultivation. We're gonna do a season. This season was about individuals and what they do. We're gonna do a season about people that have created a platform for other, and y'all have clearly qualified for that too.
You know who I could already say off the bat who I think would probably be excellent in for that. And granted, any of the dudes could do this. Like not, you know, any of the dudes could do it. But just off my head, like Domino would be a great dude on there. And that's just because what he'd bring a unique twist to it, being that like he spent like a lot of the more time on the business side of shit representing us than any of us had up to a certain point.
Brilliant.
You know what I'm saying?
Brilliant.
And all of the pivotal growing ass years, he was also a producer. That's how he got into the clique. But like he ended up doing like being on the business side for us, and his perspective would be really dope in this form.
We love that.
That'll be dope, brother. We definitely would love to have him, man.
That's the perspective that I definitely would love to tap into. You know, it's kind of crazy. I just showed my son. You know, I have a 15-year-old son, and we just watched the New Edition documentary or series, right? For the first time. I knew it had been out for a while, but
it's good though, man.
But I literally just watched it. We watched it the whole night. We watched all 3 episodes, hour and a half episodes. We binge watched it.
Yeah.
And he loved it. Like, but at the same time, we even just seen the story of, you know, once again how, you know, Ralph was, you know, just that much loyal, you know, to the group. And then the transition into the money game, and you see how Michael Bivins was the one in the group that wanted to learn the business aspect of it, which is where you're talking about now bringing it. Like, so many stories line up and connect from those times, and it's just
it's real. That stuff like that is like gems for inside looks on all of those like Boogeyman ghost stories about the record industry. Them shits is true, and the inside look is always dope, man.
Yes,
especially when you know and love a group so much from the outside. Like I'm watching New Edition, like it's reminding me of times when that song was out. You know what I'm saying? And like having nostalgic feelings about like remembering certain memories from just by watching the doc and shit, like, you know, and being like, oh, that was a time. Oh, you know what I'm saying? That was a feeling. And just to see remembering that we seen that whole shit from the outside and what happened on the backside, man, it's good game for anybody moving forward.
Yeah, man.
And with that being said, man, I gotta say, man, whoever hasn't checked the documentary out, 93 Til Infinity, check out what these brothers were doing at a very early age, man. The camp, the family was tight as hell. They still tight as hell. And that's how you build the foundation. You know what I mean? And just to kind of see that played out in the documentary and seeing y'all on stage still rocking out, you know what I mean, recently. Well, you know, before COVID, but recently doing what y'all was doing back then and still be on point and still be able to, you know, pass off to Tajay and to Festo and Ope and just kind of still, you know what I mean, be in sync. It's a beautiful thing, man. So shout out to y'all, man. We've been blessed with your presence, brother.
We are truly honored to have a legendary presence here on SoundMinds, man.
Now, so with that being said,
constellation shining bright.
It's getting big. It's getting big. You know what I mean? And we definitely everybody go follow A+. You know what I'm saying? Hyro A+. Go follow the Hieroglyphics family. Go do your research. If you're really about this hip hop culture, you should never stop at just what you see in the videos that you see. Do your research on who these brothers are. Do your research on who A+ is, a pillar of a strong pillared family. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we keep bringing y'all, man. And I can't tell you how much your presence means to us, just to kind of like expand the direction of the mentality in which SoundMinds is, man, because it's all aligned. You know what I mean? It's like-minded. So thank you, brother.
Thank you.
SoundMinds.
Thank y'all for having me, man. Bless up, y'all. Bless up your fam. Be safe out there.
And with that being said, SoundMinds.
Peace.